good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Robbie. Today we're actually working on the Miata that's behind me. It's a silver Miata. What we're doing today is replacing the injectors on it. Now, why are we replacing the injectors? For those of you that didn't get to see what the engine bay looks like now, there it is. And I'm gonna see if I can find a picture. I'll put on the screen somewhere up here of what the car used to look like before. So it's a day and night difference from what the engine bay looked like before. I used quite some paint here as well to make the side here nice. The valve covers, cut the valve cover, intake has been painted, pretty much all the little accessories and stuff have been repainted and replaced. And the reason why we're actually replacing these guys today, which are the injectors, is because the car is getting very bad fuel economy. Also it's like lacking power and stuff. And the way I checked it, if it was misfiring or anything like that, because it's OBD1, can't really tell if it's misfiring too much unless the engine shakes. But mine doesn't really shake. It does fire, just intermittently actually misfires and stuff from cylinder 4, I believe, mostly. Now the way I checked that is I got myself one of those guns where you check temperatures and stuff, and what you do is you let the car start warming up and stuff. You start it up and you start checking every single exhaust tip and see what the temperatures are. Now as it's running and idling, if you see one of those actually a little bit colder than the other, it's because the exhaust, or is because it's not firing at that cylinder as many times as it is firing at the other cylinders. Now I figured out that because when I checked cylinder 4, it was like 100 degrees colder than any of the other pipes, which meaning that that cylinder was misfiring. Now that could be also a problem of the actual plug wires or the actual module there. That is not the case in this. I've already swapped plug wires. I do get spark all the time on all of them. I've checked if I have spark on it. So the spark is fine. It's just randomly misfiring. Now this is due to a clogged or bad injector, or going bad injector. In my case, it does go bad. Now when I actually drive this car, I have very low power on it. And I was thinking it was maybe the engine or so. I check compression, the compression is fine. So then I started looking into it and I found out that it's actually misfiring. The way you change these injectors is what I'm going to show you guys today. They're very easy to change out. I got myself some, not brand new, they're actually refurbished injectors. These guys, you can pick them up from eBay. I think they're about $70 or so. They're pretty much refurbished. They have been tested for flow, and they do flow perfectly, and then they got all brand new seals. Now this O-ring is new, this one here is new, and the one on the bottom is new. So this is complete, pretty much just plug and play type of a deal. Some people do like to just refurbish their own, just to know that it's their own and stuff like that, which is probably going to cost you around 100 to 150 bucks just to send those injectors out to somebody, and so that person can actually clean them out and flow test them. But in my case, I just bought them. Might as well do that. Actually, there's an option as well where you can send your old ones back to that same company, and then they will give you about $23 back. So in reality, you're not even paying 75 bucks. Paying 75 minus the 23 bucks, and so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take those out and I'm gonna put the new ones in, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do that right now. So your wiring might be a little bit different for your car depending on how your car is set up. Mine has actually been like wire tuck kind of sort of, so that's why you can't really see my injector wires very well. But all you have to do, the first thing you have to do is go and open your gas cap, and actually open your gas cap completely, like unscrew it. That will relieve any pressure that is in the lines, so when you pull the fuel rail and the injectors out, no fuel is going to just squirt everywhere and stuff. So do that first. Second, you need to remove these two bolts. There's one here, and then there's one right there as well. Those are 12 millimeters. Just remove those, and then you should be able to slide the whole fuel injector rail backwards. I think that's going to be the easiest way. If you want to make yourself some more clearance, unplug these two hoses. They do have coolant in them, so just be careful. They might spill some coolant. And yeah, and then unplug all your injectors. I'm just going to go ahead now and undo those two bolts here that are 12 millimeter, and then I'm going to just slide the fuel rail back a little bit so the injectors can come out. Alright guys, so I went ahead and unplugged all my injectors. You guys can see that one is unplugged, that one is unplugged, that one is unplugged. They're all unplugged, and I went ahead and removed my two nuts here. There's one of them right there, and then the other one is still kind of there, but it won't slide out because it's actually hitting the metal right there. So I'll have to just pull the rail out with it, and it'll just stay in the hole, which is fine. Now before you start pulling in the rail back, the injectors are probably going to be stuck to it. Sometimes the injectors are stuck to your actual head. Now when you pull back, just be careful, because as you pull back, there is some spacers. Right there's one of them, right there. This spacer here, make sure you guys don't lose that, because it's very crucial. That's how much you need to space out your actual fuel rail. So be careful not to lose this. If you do lose this, you're gonna have to get yourself a bunch of washers and just stack a bunch of washers to make this space. So all 4 injectors are out. I did put a rag down there because once I pulled that first one here, that one right there, some fuel spilled out, and I had to just wipe that down and just make sure it didn't go anywhere else, because it was gonna probably corrode my paint eventually. But yeah, all 4 of them are completely out. And I did actually remove these 2 hoses. There's no coolant that's gonna come out, so it'll give you some extra space so you can pull that nut right there off, and it'll be easier for you so you can pull this last injector out. Now let's put the new ones in. Make sure you guys have all of your little what do you call it, all of the seals. You should have an O-ring here, which this will slide into the fuel rail. This O-ring here is very important, because this is what seals your actual injector from squirting fuel everywhere. And there's a secondary one here just to be 100% safe, and then there's the bottom one that goes into the actual not head, but what do you call it, into the intake. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start slapping one by one onto the actual fuel rail. Then all 4 will just go into the actual intake. All of them are pretty much lined up and ready to go in. I'm gonna shine some light at it. There's the first one, it's lined up to the actual fuel rail. There's the second one there. Here's the third one, it's ready to go in. And there's the last one. Now when you look inside here, show you guys what it's supposed to look like. There's that first one, the seal is right there, it's ready to go in the hole. Here's that one, here's that one, and here's that last one right there. So once you plug it in, just push down on the actual rail. Let's see if I can show you guys this at the same time. Okay, come on, there you goes. Okay, double check, make sure you guys can see from here to here, this fuel rail is actually touching that seal, which is perfectly fine. Same thing goes here, same thing here, and same thing here, and they're all inside perfectly. All 4 are inside. All we got to do now is just put back the 2 bolts that go here and the spacers that go in between here. So make sure if you can't fit your spacer, pull it back a little bit so you can put your spacer first, and spacer goes here, bolt goes here, and then just tighten those down, and then just re-plug in your wires. Alright guys, after you have pretty much installed your injectors down, I put the 2 bolts, I tightened them pretty well, reapply both of these little hoses here, make sure they go in the right spot wherever you took them out of. Clamp them back down, and don't forget to plug in your injectors. Alright, reconnected the 2 hoses here. Every single injector is plugged back in, and we're good to go here. It's a good time now for you to check if the injectors are leaking or anything like that. So make sure you have a really good light to shine in there, and every single one. Have somebody turn on the car to the accessory mode so the fuel pump can prime a couple of times. Don't forget to tighten that gas cap, because you just untied it. So tighten your gas cap down. Go ahead, either start the car and come right here right away, see if there's any leakage. If you see fuel spilling anywhere, then you have pinched a seal and you didn't put the injectors perfectly inside, and that's why it's leaking. So stop the car right away so all the fuel can stop squirting everywhere, and then just fix your issue. Either replace that seal, they're really cheap to get new seals, or figure out why it's actually leaking. So I'm gonna go ahead and now start the car and see what happens. Alright guys, hopefully you guys can hear me, but as you guys can see, there is no spillage whatsoever. This is cylinder 4. This is, let's see if I can focus please. This is cylinder 3. That's cylinder 2. And cylinder 1 is right there. And it seems like they're all perfectly working. And just make sure you have some good throttle response, so double check on that real quick. She's still cold, so let her warm up a little bit before we start revving her up. Seems like she's working fine. So I'm gonna let her warm up a little bit and then make sure, take her for a spin and see how everything goes. Alright boys, I must say the car drives 10 times better. I felt like I was missing a cylinder before. I thought the car's engine is completely blown and stuff, but it was literally just my injectors this whole time. So luckily I found out that that cylinder was misfiring randomly, and that's what caused the car to be very sluggish. Because what the car used to do was basically, let me explain to you guys real quick. So it was getting like 175 miles per tank, which is like horrible. They should get about 230, 240, even like 260 I would say, if you really drain the tank to complete empty. That's what should be your normal miles per gallon. I was getting 275, so there was something wrong there with the fueling system. I thought maybe a clogged filter, things like that. I changed the fuel filter. It wasn't that. It was obviously my injectors. Now, what the car was doing was basically when you're accelerating and stuff, it's after being warmed up and everything, when you're accelerating from like 0 RPMs and you try to blip the throttle, it would like stutter sometimes. It wouldn't even just go up, and then it would just catch and go. And then if you were, when you're driving and you hit up like 4,000 RPM, as soon as it passes that 4,000 RPM, I guess the fuel pressure gets high enough to where that cylinder 4 that was basically not working properly opens up, and then the car acts like it hits VTEC. Like literally, that's exactly what it feels like. It's like you have sluggish, hits 4,000 RPM, whoop, it just opens up right away. So if you're having some similar symptoms and stuff like that, check your injectors. Make sure they're flowing perfectly. The way to do that is check if your car is misfiring. The way to do that is check if you have spark everywhere. If you have spark, then your plugs are fine. Then check with your temperature gauge, like I said, on every single exhaust little pipe, and see if your temperatures are identical. If they're within a couple of degrees, that's okay. But if they're like 100 degrees less than the other ones, there's a problem at that cylinder. Either you have low compression there or something's going on, or you have like a fueling issue just like what I have. You can also check your plug. When you pull your plug out, if it's white, then you have a lean cylinder, meaning there's something going on and it's not sparking as much, or it's not firing as many times as the other ones are. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was very short. Hope you guys learned a little bit of how to work on your Miatas as well. And if you need to change your injectors, it's quite simple. Choose 2 bolts, pull the fuel rail out, pull all of them out, change them out with new ones. Don't even refurbish them. Like literally just go buy ones on eBay. It's 75 bucks for 4 injectors. It's a Miata. Come on guys. And other than that, if you guys have any questions, just drop them down below in the comment section. I'll be gladly happy to answer any questions you guys have. And again, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Don't forget, what's behind you doesn't matter.